Committee on Homelessness and Poverty. My name is Marquise Harris-Dawson. I'm the chair of this committee. We're joined by our vice chair, Council Member Monica Rodriguez, and members, Council Members Huizar and Bonin. We have one item for today's agenda. There will be no public comment, and we'll limit, there will be no general public comment because there is one item. And we will call on speakers. Because we have limited time, we're going to limit public comment to 10 minutes on this matter. And then it's my expectation that we will go into closed session to hear from the city attorneys regarding this matter. And so, yes, this item will have a broader public hearing in full city council. Our expectation that council meeting will not happen before the last week of September or perhaps the first week of October. So in about 3 weeks, we'll have a full hearing on this. There'll be a full complement of time for speakers to speak. But today we want to limit it to 10 minutes. We're trying to make sure we get somebody from all the key organizations, at least one person from the key organizations to speak before we go into closed session. So I'll begin with the first four speakers: Estella Lopez, Carol Schatz, Jerry Newman, and Senator Kevin Murray.
Good morning, council members. Estella Lopez, the director of the Industrial District BID. If you are considering settling this lawsuit, let me remind you, this is not the first one, or the second, or the third. This is going to be the third time the city settles a lawsuit with the goal of advancing the welfare of persons living on the street. But have we learned anything from the first two, from Jones and Levon? Yes, we have. We've learned that these settlements haven't worked. In fact, I would argue that they've made the problems worse, much worse. These settlements do absolutely nothing to further your goals of improving the conditions for persons living on the sidewalks. They don't advance the health and safety of our communities, and they clearly haven't prevented additional lawsuits. So I ask you, what exactly have we gained? What is your end game? Settlements have backfired. Skid Row is a man-made disaster, and the ripple effects are citywide. How can we be here again at this moment, considering doing the same thing?
Thank you.
Carol Schatz, president of the Downtown Center BID. I recall testifying before the entire city council in 2007 when they were at the preliminary stages of a proposed settlement on Jones. And I asked the council if they would tolerate the people sleeping on the street, and now with the proliferation of possessions that we now see in front of their own homes on the public sidewalk. And I'd ask you to think about that. And if you answer that you would not appreciate seeing that, one of the things that has to happen is that we have to go to trial on this. Some of us have spent almost half of our lifetimes making downtown come back. This has been an economic, that's a minute?
Finish your thought, please.
What did he say?
Okay. Ms. Schatz, can you please finish
Yes.
your sentence?
So we have an economic miracle that is in great jeopardy. And this is a tragedy for the homeless themselves. Whether or not they want to be on the street, it's degrading, and to see them deteriorate slowly because of these settlement agreements. Please make this go to trial.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Harris-Dawson, members of the committee, my name is Jerry Newman. As incoming chair of the LA Chamber of Commerce and as chair of the Business Leaders Task Force on Homelessness, I'm here today to ask you not to settle this matter, to take this to trial. As a lawyer, I completely understand sometimes the drive to settle, but the settlement oftentimes comes with unintended consequences, as we've seen time and time again through this process. The idea of trying to tackle a major issue through the lens of a small set of facts in a settlement is foolhardy. Or opposite, trying to take a small set of facts and extend that to trying to settle a large number of issues also is equally foolhardy. The reality is the city should trust the work that you've been doing. You've been doing great work in this matter. Trust the work that your police have been doing. Trust the work that you yourselves have been doing, and stand up to this issue and take it to trial and do not settle. We at the Chamber, we at the United Way, we at Home for Good ask you to do that. Thank you.
After Senator Murray, we have Andy Bales, Anita Nelson, Jessica Law, General Jeff.
Good morning, Council. My name is Kevin Murray. I'm the President and CEO of the Weingart Center. We operate a 600-bed facility on the corner of 6th and San Pedro in the heart of Skid Row. And I associate myself with all the previous comments. The other thing I would add is that settling the case is essentially enshrining into law the status quo. And I think we can all agree that the status quo is not sufficient, and it's not what the people of our city deserve. It's not what the residents of Skid Row deserve. We in our place have recently lost a 100-bed program because the funder doesn't want to have people in Skid Row seeking services. I think one of the things we did with great intentions, many of the laws passed, as some of you I've worked with, end up with unintended consequences, and I think that is what has happened here with the great intention of protecting and not criminalizing our most vulnerable residents. We have essentially empowered the people who prey on them, and we have enabled them not to seek services. And so, again, I would encourage you to take this case to trial.
Thank you.
Andy Bale, CEO of Union Rescue Mission. Last night we sheltered 350 single ladies, 99 moms, 10 dads, 258 kids, along with about 500 men. It's much simpler to do an impossible task when there's a reasonable amount of belongings that come along with the precious people that we serve. But mostly I want to say we need urgent action now for shelter and services throughout LA City, throughout LA County, not just on Skid Row. Let me tell you what happened 2 nights ago. Hello, Andy. Just got a call from security guard Thomas. A young lady in her 20s ran into the mission naked and told them she'd been raped and beaten up. The lady is now in the restroom and staff is looking for some clothes. Thomas is now calling the police and paramedics to come and check on the lady. They looked in the system and she's never stayed at the mission. We have a crisis of epic proportions of people on the streets, especially women on the streets, and to be honest with you, it's hard on my heart to live in a city that allows what we have on our streets. And I want to humbly ask, before we have any more press conferences or pat ourselves on the back for any progress, could we call for an urgent reaction to this blight on our city? Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica Law with the Central City Association. Council members, through your leadership on this committee, the city has made significant progress in solving our region's homelessness crisis. We have come a long way since the Mitchell injunction was put in place in 2016. The city has passed Proposition HHH, Measure H, committed to meeting the Everyone In goals, found sites and won community support for interim housing for the Bridge Home Initiative, and fought successfully for the $85 million from the state budget surplus for homelessness housing. In downtown, we have opened a storage facility, a sobering center, and a refresh spot. All of this progress is not recognized in Mitchell, and Judge Otero needs to hear what you have done. The city's hands have been tied because of legal decisions like Jones and Levon. We need to end this cycle of court decisions that allows for the conditions we have today and decreases the quality of life for homeless individuals in the city. All of your work is in jeopardy if we do not stand up.
Thank you.
Yes, trial is a fight.
Thank you. No shouting out. After General Jeff, come on up, Jeff. After General Jeff, Blair Bestin, and Steve Diaz, and that'll conclude our public comment. Come on up, General.
Good morning, council members. City Attorney Mike Fiore, I know you're listening. If the city takes this to trial, the city of Los Angeles is going to lose, bottom line. So why even go that route? Just this week, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that enforcing 4118D and 5611 is a violation of the Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. You're going to lose. So rather than even limit it to just a downtown settlement, you got to do it citywide, because otherwise you'll be discriminating against certain populations within the homeless context. It's a no-brainer. We can't enforce that. The city of Los Angeles has not built enough adequate housing to justify micromanaging homelessness on the sidewalks, so you have to have a hands-off approach. You can't punish, it's victim-blaming homeless people when you don't have adequate housing. Settle citywide. Don't go to trial because you lose.
Blair Bestin, I work for the Historic Corps bid, but I'm here as a mother and a resident of downtown. I've been in the area over 15 years. For decades, we kicked the can down the road, but you, the City Council, and the Mayor have stepped up with funding initiatives and strong leadership to address this crisis. The voters have backed you up on that with HHH and H, and we know that what begins in Skid Row is no longer hidden there. What Jeff said, it's already being replicated throughout the city, and if this is about rights, you can't have them on Spring Street and not have them on Wilshire Boulevard on the west side. So what we're seeing down the road is just another expensive settlement. This is not about downtown, it's about the future of our city. And we're going to run out of public comment.
Sergeants,
so
can you
I
remove...
want people to stand.
Hold our time. Sergeants, can you remove Mr. Herman from the building for the balance of the day?
With real action, stuff, bulky items, hoarding, encampments are not saving lives. Shelters, housing, treatment programs, services, or actions that are saving lives, and we have a moral obligation to support these efforts in every way possible. It means not taking the easy way out. We believe in everyone in. We ask that you do too, and we support you in those efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, committee members. My name is Steve Diaz, and I am with LA CAN. Thank you so much for having this hearing this morning, and just a couple of thoughts. Just to remind folks, Mitchell did not cause tents and encampments to increase. The housing crisis did. The lack of affordable housing, the lack of truly affordable housing in the communities that are needed is what caused the tents to go up. This is not about increased tents. This is about how we're not doing enough to stop people from becoming homeless. Additionally, this is an issue about constitution. This is about a person's right to have property regardless if they're housed or unhoused. We all deserve that basic fundamental right as human beings. This is not about how tents are going to cause people to continue to live on the street. This is about the United States Constitution, and this is about the basic rights that are guaranteed to each individual, regardless of what the business community says. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have Anita Nelson, Ruth Swartz, and we'll end with Lou Horn. We're going to have the speakers I called, and then we will conclude public comment, and we will clear the room for closed session. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is
Sergeants, please show this gentleman out.
My name is Lou Horn. I'm the president of CBRE in Southern California, and I'm here representing many of the businesses that are headquartered in the city of Los Angeles. I'm one of two Fortune 200 companies that we employ close to 4,000 people. I am asking you to not settle. I have seen this community on complete running on all cylinders. I see it's the number one target for investment, foreign investment in the entire world. I've worked with the occupiers, I work with the investors, I work with the citizens that are moving here. The only hole in our boat is the situation around homelessness. But right now, we've got a great alignment because of the good work that you've done, and also now I see this happening in the private community with private answers starting to step forward, private investment, wanting to be part of the solution. Momentum's a very powerful force, and it happens negatively, and it also happens positively. I think the message that would be sent here by putting out a settlement would be the wrong message for the people that are actually out trying to help outside of the boundaries of H&H and HH.
Thanks so much.
So, thank you.
All right. I don't see the other speakers who we've called. So with that, we'll conclude public comment. Mr. Weezar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the many constituents who came out today, we apologize if you did not have a chance to speak today, but there will be other opportunities for you to come out. We will have a hearing today, and whether we move forward today or not in committee and continue it or not, there will be a time when this comes to council, and we will make sure that people are heard at some point along the way. But I do want to say this, and a few years ago, I went to Council President Wesson, and I asked him to establish a committee on homelessness, because all we were doing at that time, the policy that was being set for the city on homelessness was reactionary. It was reactionary to the latest lawsuit, to the latest writ, to the latest settlement, and that is no way to set policy. So the very reason that we are here today in this committee is because we wanted to be proactive on our policy, and we've been successful so far. We've set up, we established our strategic plan. We started implementing that plan by adopting Measure HH, asking the voters to support it, Measure HHH. We are now following through on that plan and implementing it by creating more shelters. So we are being proactive in creating policy for this city. But let me say this, without going into details that we can't go into unless we're in closed session, that we should not continue to settle cases and let that drive policy for the city of Los Angeles. And secondly, looking at the bigger picture, we should not treat Skid Row any different from the rest of the city. We should not allow the conditions to persist the way they are now. And this case, this settlement would say you could let anything go and you could let a lot things to get worse compared to the rest of the city. And that's not the way we should treat our Angelenos, no matter where they are in life and where they are in terms of trying to get better for themselves.
Thank you so much, Mr. Weezar. So, sergeants will ask that we clear the room for closed session, where we will hear from city staff on this matter.
Literally, when he called me to tell me committees, I was silent for like 45 seconds. He was like, "Are you there? Are you there?"
We invite you to come back and have general public comment during council session today.